Welcome back. This is the FloTrack podcast. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm Kevin Sully, joined by Gordon Mack, doing a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday recording this week. And I believe we're back on YouTube, Gordon. So hello again to our YouTube friends.
It's good to be live again. It's always good. We were not live, and now we're live. What a journey. 2 podcasts without a live audience. I don't know how we
Mhm.
survived. Just you and me talking with no one listening at the time.
Mhm.
Hopefully, people listen to the archive or on Spotify, iTunes. Like, subscribe. You know the whole thing, the internet. Anyway, I think we need to start this podcast, though, with a video that has just gone viral on the internet this morning. Classic Florida man video. And I know this has nothing to do with track and field, nothing to do with marathon, cross country, field
Mhm.
events. Maybe you could call it a field event. I don't know. This could be a future, this track and field event, maybe in the future. I don't know.
Mhm.
But there's this video around the internet of Florida man, classic Florida man, catching an alligator
Yeah.
with a garbage can. And we're going to watch this in full and we'll commentate over it. As you can see, alligator unwelcome on the front porch of this man's home. The guy takes a 64, 128 gallon
Mhm.
trash can and just slowly pushes towards him. And the alligator just is like backing up, can slowly realizes, man, this
This
bin
is
of
it.
darkness is coming towards me, and he starts just pushing towards him. Alligator doesn't know how to. Looks like alligators aren't good at walking backwards.
Right.
Pushes the
Right.
lid on top of him, and the alligator goes nuts, and it works. Look at him. He slowly but surely gets the shaking alligator into the garbage can. Success. No one hurt. No one's. I think I'm assuming the
That we
alligators are
know of.
fine. I don't think I think the alligator's fine. I don't think it was hurt. It's, maybe a couple bumps and bruises from the dip into the can, but man, would you have been able to pull something off like that?
No, no, I would not have had the courage to do it. I would not have had the wherewithal to figure out how to do it, and physically, I would not have been able to. I can't even get a spider in the cup in my house. Like when you try to put the cup over the spider and then put the paper underneath it, that requires way too much coordination for me. This video just kept getting better and better. I thought he was just gonna kind of do like a football sled sort of thing, and he was just gonna like push
Yeah.
the gator away using the trash can as a barrier in between himself and the gator, but then he just totally one ups himself by flipping it up and putting him in. And he's like, make sure the tail gets in and shuts it and puts his hand on top. This is a complete effort by this guy.
See, now what I want to see is the next part of this story where the guy just puts the garbage can at the corner and then the garbage man comes to collect the
Oh
garbage and
yeah,
then opens it up and is in for a surprise. This is a live alligator in his trash can. That
I
would be
thought
funny.
there would be a I thought there'd be a twist at the end with the head popping up, but luckily there was
Yeah.
not. That was well that we saw at least they stopped recording at that point. I mean, so much could have gone wrong there, and it did. Like the guy pitched a perfect game.
Yeah. He
Could have
did
gone
pitch a
around
perfect
him.
game.
It could have gone around him, could
Well,
have hopped out, could have,
the thing is,
like, turned and twisted.
I think it shows that the alligators don't really have that great of agility. I
Mhm.
think we overestimate their ability and that it's kind of actually easy to get away from an alligator because they can't turn
Ooh,
or go backwards as quick as possible as you would think. Like if
Gordon
you think like if
calling
you're
out
racing an
alligator.
alligator, if you're racing an alligator, you just got to kind of run like at an angle and the alligator's just not going to be able to go at that angle.
Okay.
Alligators are only good in a straight line forward,
Int
so
interesting, okay, so you're saying 100-meter, they'd be fine, but you would not like alligator's chance off the curve in a 200.
yeah, a 200
Mhm.
alligator, they're like, you know, it's not good. They're just gonna drift. They're gonna
They're
drift
gonna run out.
forward and
Yeah,
not have
yeah,
a
yeah.
yeah. They're only getting the 60 and the 100, and
60
definitely
good
not the hills.
starters. Good starters, right? We would agree? Like, they can stay low, obviously, drive face.
Yeah, I'd say an alligator probably has a good start. Um, the lean, they don't really have much of a lean because
Right.
their chest can't go forward. It just is kind of where their chest is stagnant the entire time. They
Sure.
can't like lift up.
Tail. How would they utilize their tail most effectively, do you think, in a track race?
Well, that they could probably have some problems with some disqualifications because the lane is only a certain width wide, and that tail is
That's
going to be
true.
wagging back and forth, and it might trip up a competitor
Yeah.
on the outside or inside lane. So probably have to be. They probably have to work like watch out for questionable moves that they could do with their tail. It's kind of like
Mhm.
a race walker. Sometimes you see them running, and you're like, hey, you can't be doing that. Can't be running in this race walk. And I think this
1 foot
alligator
down.
can't be you know, sh- putting his tail in other people's lanes. You know,
Especially if it's a conference meet, right? Conference meet, people are looking for DQs everywhere because 'cause they're trying to get points and all the right. I mean, we saw how remember how contentious SECs was last year? People pushing each other, Big 12s, ramming people over. I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
I would worry about the alligator in that sort of restrictive officiating environment.
yeah. And so you're saying an alligator versus Festus Legat is not going to go down well?
It's just bam,
Is that
bam,
what you're
bam,
trying to
bam,
say?
bam.
Bam, bam.
Well,
So
wasn't it who are the 2 teams in the SEC 5K who, like, got into like, a shoving match? I'm remembering that correctly, right?
Alabama and Arkansas, I think. I
Okay,
think it was
okay.
Alabama and Arkansas. Yeah, or maybe it was Arkansas and Ole Miss. One of those.
Yeah,
I don't know.
alright.
SEC has a lot of things like that. I mean, there was that one. That, was it A&M in Florida? They got in a scuffle
Yeah,
at
yeah.
nationals in the 4x4. Remember that? Yeah, they don't like each other. Uh, you know. Anyway, who? So, what would you think would be like? Now, obviously, you put a like. I like how we're turning the opening podcast about this alligator man.
We'll
Hey,
get to
man,
London
it's
Marathon in a
Hump
second.
Day.
We'll get to London
We're
Marathon
gonna
in
be
a
talking
second.
about the London Marathon and some upcoming cross country meets. But if you had to go up against an alligator, like if you could like draft
Mhm.
an animal to go race an alligator that you think could beat the alligator in a 100-meter dash, who would you pick? But you rules are it has to be a reptile.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm Googling fastest reptiles. Wow, it says green sea turtles can reach 22 miles an hour?
A sea turtle?
That's
What?
what it says. That's what it
Well, is
says.
that in water though? Is that in water?
Well, that'd be ridiculously
It's,
fast. Snakes, a lot of snakes are fast too.
yeah, snakes I
You
think
know
would be
what?
quick.
Komodo dragon. I've been watching a lot of Planet Earth. I think the Komodo dragon has that mentality that I'd want out there. All right, this is according to worldatlas.com. A bearded dragon. Oh, this is 40 kilometers an hour. Bearded dragon. Colt, can we get a picture up of a bearded dragon? Can we see what that looks like, if possible? Green iguana, 35 kilometers an hour. Leatherback sea turtle. It says 35.28, which is very specific. Black mamba, 23. Komodo dragon, 21. So maybe my Komodo dragon pick is a little misguided there. I'm picking that more on like reputation, and it's in the headlines a lot, right? Komodo dragon, like everybody's heard it, seen it, but this bearded dragon, I'm interested to see what it brings because apparently it can go 40 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, look at that thing. That looks like it's got
Oh wow,
people on its back. What is that? Is that like its family on its back? Yeah, I mean the thing about a Komodo dragon or a bearded dragon is there's that intimidation
well they're
factor, right?
tiny.
If you're
They're tiny, 6 to 24 inches. That's it.
I just
So
they're
that's a lot of
intimidating though.
strides. A lot of strides.
I, I just feel like if I saw a Komodo dragon at the starting line, I would just freak out
Right.
and think, why
Yes.
am I racing a Komodo dragon? I'll be like, what
Right.
simulation am I in right now? Because I'm a human and I shouldn't be racing dragons, let alone
Whereas if you
alligators.
step to the
Yeah.
line against a bearded dragon and it's 16 to 24 inches, you would not be intimidated at all. But that first step is just going to set you back, and then you're going to be scrambling a little bit. I mean, I would
Yeah.
not have thought that they could go this quickly. I need to see some videos here. Um, yes, but
Anyway,
like how long? Oh, these are the ones that go up on 2 legs. I think. Hold on, I'm
you're
looking at it
diving a
now.
little
I
too
found.
deep. You're going too
Hold on,
deep.
Cole, you gotta show this video. Hold up. I'm gonna do one more thing
Oh, we
here.
have a video? Okay. The
I'm gonna
speed?
send it to Cole on YouTube. Yeah, it takes a while to get going, but then once it goes, so I'm not after watching this video, I just don't think it has the endurance over 100, maybe not even a 40. Like it needs to run like a five. And a five, I would take the bearded dragon, but not
That's what a fu
anything. Well, just look out. Okay, so watch this. Watch this. All right, so this guy's pushing out getting it to go, and then watch that.
Oh, man, that's quick.
Right, but how
That is
long can it
quick.
sustain that? How long can it sustain that before it ties up? Also, you talked before about the lean. You can't get any more anti-lean than that. It's like straight up and down, right? Like if it leaned, it would fall forward and totally ruin. Like it's not even using the other two legs at all. Not the
Yeah, it
most
feels like it's
efficient.
gonna fall backwards,
Right,
but
exactly.
yeah.
So with the lean, I don't think you need to worry about the old bearded dragon. But nevertheless, uh, thanks everybody for tuning in. This is the FloTrack podcast where we discuss which reptiles are the fastest. Also, London Marathon. Gordon, you got the new cross country show is out, correct? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, episode 2 out on YouTube yesterday and also on the site, but break down individual contenders. I, go on a mini rant about, um, the coaches poll. Spoiler alert, I tweeted this out. The coaches poll ranked the New Mexico women 3rd in the nation. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
However, they also ranked the New Mexico women 13th in their own regional. How can a team be 13th in their regional but 3rd in the nation? Makes no sense.
Typo.
I would hope it's a typo. I would hope it's a
Okay.
typo. I did reach out to a couple mountain regional coaches. One coach said, "Oh, the person who ranks the mountain regional doesn't know what they're doing." And I did reach out to Joe Franklin, New Mexico coach, and it's like, "Yo, just people don't like me. I guess. I guess I'm just
Wait,
not liked."
wait. So an individual does it? It's not coaches ranking it.
So the way it works is there's a group of like 9 coaches or so that rank the national poll, and they just make a list of 25, and then that's the ranking. And then the regional poll is one coach in each region who does the poll.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's a coach in the mountain regional whose job is every week to submit, here are the
Okay.
top 15 teams in the mountain region. And they decided to take the New Mexico women and drop them from second in the region to 13th, even though
Interesting.
nothing happened this past weekend either. Like, they didn't even race this past weekend. So, like, what did they do? Who did Joe Franklin upset? That's what I want to know.
Isn't it weird though to have two completely different ways to rank teams within the same like organization? I think that's like to me, you should get coaches, right? To rank the if it's the
Well, it is
coaches
a
poll.
coach.
That's
It's
the
a coach
well,
doing it.
no. I know, but it's the coaches poll. It's not coach poll or a coach
Yeah, it's
poll.
true.
It's called coaches. Like, what if in college football they're just like, you know what? Only Clemson's coach is going to rank this week. All 25, we're just taking his list. Whatever it is, that's what we're doing.
I mean, the moral of the story is coaches' polls are fraud, and you should only look at FloTrack rankings for legitimate analysis. That was my
I
story
think.
of the pod.
But anyway, people can find on YouTube episode 2 of the amazingly titled NCAA cross country show. Is that still the title?
Yeah, good for SEO, man. People are
Yeah.
searching that, right? If I call it something else, if call it the Gordon Mack show, no one's searching Gordon Mack on the internet, but people are searching
Mm,
cross country and NCAA. Maybe my mom
I
searches to make sure I'm not in trouble. But other than that,
I saw the whiteboard where he came up with this name in the office. It was pretty inspired. It was just a lot. There was a lot of bubbles and arrows and lines and everything like that. All right, so we got a show tomorrow, and then we got a London Marathon live watch party happening on Sunday, 2:30 a.m. Myself, Cathal Dennehy, track and field writer. He's actually gonna be joining from Greece, which is great. I talked to him yesterday. Checked the audio. He's all over Europe, Cathal. And where was the
mhm.
marathon invented, Gordon?
In
Where
Greece,
was exactly? So he's there on location reporting for us. This is going to be terrific. We're going to talk, man. We're going to talk for 3 hours basically through that race, beginning, during, after. So it's going to be on the YouTube page. So subscribe right now if you haven't. So that way You can get an alert if you're overseas. It's going to be an awesome time for you. If you're not over, if you're in the United States, like I am, you'll get up early and watch along with us. We want to do a more complete, I guess, preview or just tie up any other loose ends. They had the men's press conference this morning, so there'll be more information that trickles out about some of the elites and their preparation. But just in general, Gordon, we've touched on a lot of these names before. What do you most? Is there an athlete or a storyline that you're most interested in following? It is what's what I'm wondering, right, is just we're having all the majors, boom, 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 boom. And we saw, I think, the impact on that in Berlin in the men's race, where you had a slow time because the guy who got top billing didn't Bekele didn't run well, and then basically there wasn't the depth behind him. But you look at how deep the men's field is, it seems like London's just depth is going to even persevere in a year when there's so many majors happening and the depth is persisting despite the fact that there's all these other races going on.
Yeah, I mean the first like the main thing I'm focusing on is probably like the 204 barrier
Hmm.
and how many men run sub 204 in the same race. I think whether it's how many men break 203, how many men break 204, or how many men in that same race break 205, I feel like it might be a potential record for most people under a certain barrier because of the depth of the field. So that's what I'm excited about. It's like seeing the fifth place guy or the seventh place guy and seeing how incredibly fast they were and be like, damn, that person probably would have won Berlin, or that person probably would be good enough to
Hmm.
win any of the other majors this fall. So
Hmm.
that's what I'm excited about, is seeing the quickness of the fifth, the sixth, the seventh place runners. And
And they
also
have the
whoever wins, obviously, but
well, they have the field to do that. I've mentioned four is the record for most sub 204s in one race. Now you have a number of guys in this race who have done it. You got six plus, we a seventh in Shirakatada who hasn't broken 204 but won the race last year in tough conditions. So we think he could do it too. So it's like you're basically going in seven guys having already done it. Now, can they do it on this course on this day when they're competing against each other? How many of them can do it? I'm not sure. I mean, are we going to see at least one? Yeah, I think the likelihood of that is very high. I don't think we're going to see a repeat of what we saw in Berlin, but just how many is an interesting question. Also, Kipchoge's not in this race. So this and Katata's won a major. Legasse has won two Tokyo marathons, but nobody's really emerged as the second guy to Kipchoge. And maybe we get because the second guy is just so far back from Kipchoge because he's been so dominant for so long. But maybe we see somebody come out of this race as a bona fide, hey, okay, especially if they're younger. Hey, Kipchoge can't run forever. And when he steps aside, this person looks like they might be the next one.
yeah. I sent our producer the URL of the entries so we kind of can visually see the different teams and that depth. So if you're following along visually, keep
Yeah.
track of all the names that we've been bringing up, you'll be able to uh, see. But yeah, you mentioned. I think you said there was six guys who have already broken to a four. I believe there's actually seven, unless one of these
One's
guys has dropped out.
one scratch. So you got Legasse,
Okay.
Garamu, Akiru, Chibet, Lemma, and Atanwa. Uh, I don't know. Excuse me. And then Katata would be in there. So there's like
Okay.
seven that are faster than 205. Then you have Kipchumba at 205.09, and then the next fastest after that on seed time, I believe, as of the listing, was 210. So there's like a big drop off between 8 to 9 there. But again, nobody's gonna replace Kipchoge, and Kipchoge doesn't even look like he's going anywhere. And whoever's next, I don't expect to run off the success that Kipchoge did. But it is interesting to see a London marathon without Kipchoge. He ran last year but didn't win. But then he won in 18 and 19, and then he won in 16 and 15. So he had a stretch there where he had won four of the five races. He was a fixture in this race. To see the race go without him is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for these guys to fill in and maybe put their name out there. Ikiru is the guy I'm really interested in. He's had a huge drop in time, and he's run his 203, his sub 203 this year. He did that in Milan, so he's an interesting guy to watch.
Yeah, and if you've done it this year, sometimes PBs can be kind of misleading because it could be like a 2011 PB and you're just
Yeah,
still there collecting that, like, hey, I was good at one point. But if
yeah.
the more recent you run your marathon, the more likely you are to repeat it, obviously. So, yeah, it'd be exciting. I mean, the question is like, sometimes when you have too much talent all together in the same race, it can kind
Hmm.
of sabotage itself and people kind of hold
Sure.
back because of the depth, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
There's
yeah,
like when the Kipchoge's there, everyone kind of knows what's happening because we know he's there. But when
yeah.
there's not that, and it's like, does this cause the whole field to slow up because no one wants to be the sacrificial lamb in the beginning or in the middle? Uh, so my question is, what do we think the half marathon split will be?
That's a great question because David Mondi just wrote an article this morning, headline "Juicy Time Bonuses Could Spur Fast Times at London Marathon." Because basically he points out the bonuses for winning are relatively modest, but you go sub 202, 150K, sub 203, 100K, sub 204, 75K. So, and he's saying the prize money is just 55,000 for the winner. So you get the time bonus wherever you finish. So if you go sub 204, Gordon, and you could get 75K, that's more than winning. So
Yeah,
to answer your question, yes, they are financially incentivized to go out hard. Now, I don't think we're going to see a sub 61 like we saw in Berlin because they probably watched Berlin and saw what happened there and know, hey, there's a limit to this, and we'll end up being way because under this bonus structure, 20 they would have gotten zero in prize money, right? The winner was above 205.
yeah,
Sorry, zero in bonus money. They'd get the prize, but like if you get fourth, right, and you run 207, that's not as valuable as if you get, you know, probably fifth and run a 203.30, just with all this incentive uh, for the time bonuses. So I will predict, sorry, long way to say, I will predict 61:45.
61:45.
Yeah.
So it's sub 62.
Yeah. It's still going to be fast.
Yeah,
Um,
I could see that. I can see a high 61, low 62 because, like you said, they might have saw the Berlin and got like a little gun shy, be like, "Ooh, I don't want that to happen to me," especially when I know it's about being on a 204, not
yeah.
about like winning the race because that's where the real money is. So, but you would think, with seven guys, one to three of them may feel good and
Yeah.
go for it, and you might have like two different races going on. You have the three of the seven who are going for broke who tried that sub 61 opening half, and then the
Hmm.
other
Hmm.
four who tried the 62 low opening half, and then they might combine eventually late in the race. It's like people who kind of were more conservative, the people who were more aggressive, and then you see which pathway worked best.
Yeah. The way you get multiple guys running sub 204 in a race is just to flood the zone with a whole bunch of guys being on pace, right?
Yeah.
You have six or seven guys on pace through 25K or 30K. Are some of them going to completely fall apart? Yeah. Just a lot of averages tell us that, but you're also going to get some guys across the line. But there obviously is a line. There's obviously a line here where there's such a thing as way too fast. We just didn't talk about it as much because the times have been getting so quick. It's like, sure, why not? Let's go out in 62, go out in 61, go out in 59:45. It's like, well, hold on, that was just Kipchoge at like one little special event. Like, let's not get carried away to think that that's possible every single time.
Yeah, we're starting to get a little um spoiled with
Yeah.
times, right? In the past, 5 to 10 years, where we're just like, assuming greatness every time we watch a marathon. And we now see like a 205 winner and we're like, oh, okay, I've seen
Yeah,
better, right? And there was a time when 205 was always like a top 5 time in the world, right?
yeah.
Not that long ago. So, um, but it's good to be spoiled, right? It's good because then we get to see some fast times. We get to see the greatness. It's gonna be exciting.
Well,
What about? Oh, what?
no, I was just gonna say, there's obviously the impact of the shoes, right? But now that they've regulated the shoes, it's gonna flatten out at a certain point,
That's true.
right? And then times are gonna get stagnant unless there's another Kipchoge that comes along, and then things will kind of settle in, and then you'll see more incremental. I mean, the two. So the last time I'm looking at the last time someone ran 205:40. Someone ran the last time someone ran slower than what Adola ran in the Berlin Marathon was 2009. Gebre Selassie ran 206:08, and that was the year after he broke the world record. So basically, that was a unique. This was a uniquely slow year, and I think a couple things contributed. One, just the depth of the field, like we talked about, but also just going out that fast. There's a point where it gets detrimental.
What about the women's race, man? What do you think of Bridget Kosgei? What do you think she's gonna do? Um,
I'm very curious about Kosgei because she had this nice streak going. Like she was ruling the women's marathon, world record, back to back London wins, wins in Chicago, and then she gets beat at the Olympics, excuse me. And okay, you can see that, right? Because there's championship style racing, and then there's rabbited style racing and style racing, and she wouldn't be the first person who's better with just a straight up time trial. So I'm interested to see in the rebound, but I'm also interested to see, hey, how is she going to do coming back after the Olympics and all the women on here? Like if you show the roster of women up here, like Kosgei ran the Olympics, as I mentioned. Dereje ran the Olympics. Debaba ran the Olympics. Jip Kosgei didn't. Lona Salpeter's not on that list because she got added later for Israel. I mean, she struggled in the Olympics. She got 66, but she's she's the second seed based on time. So yes, to answer your question, very curious on Kosgei, but I don't. This is a weird situation that a lot of these athletes are in. A lot of them really like the 2 marathons a year pattern, even though we've seen people break out of it, and to go 2 marathons back to back in 7 weeks, I don't know how everybody's gonna handle it. I just don't know.
yeah, I mean, this also though has the depth, right? How many women are are like two sub 220? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 women sub 220. Um, we should be seeing a lot of two teams, right, in this race. I
Mhm,
think
mhm.
220 is always like that barrier in my mind for like women's marathoning of like, that means like when I see a sub 220, that's where I'm like, okay, that's
Sure.
you're a, I would say you're a dude, but like or guy, but I'm not with the girl version of you're a dude. Uh, what is it? You know what I mean? Like when you
You're
say
a boss. I don't know.
you're a
I don't
boss,
know.
you're a boss. There you go, you're a boss. Um,
Uh,
so I think with having 7 to 8 women who've already broken 220, this could be kind of similar to the men's race where we could
mhm,
see like a historic depth, a historic fourth place finisher or fifth place finisher. And like you mentioned, David Monte's article, time is money in this situation, literally.
yeah.
So seeing what are the time bonuses for the women? We know what
Did he
bring that up.
I don't did he list them on here too? I just see the men's bonuses
Oh,
on
he didn't
here.
list the women.
Not in this article. But
Yeah,
so we talked about the amount of guys going sub 204 and the record from Valencia. The women's for the marker's sub 219, so a little bit faster than the Gordon Mac 220. But the record for most sub 219 is also Valencia, but the 2019 Valencia women's marathon where you had 4 people go sub 219. But perhaps we could see that here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look at the list. I mean, we have one, two, three, four women. I think there's five women who have broken 219 with a
Mhm.
sixth who's run 219.10.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's possible if we have a great day. You know, why not? Let's make history.
So, yeah, the person I'm watching is the person who didn't run at the Olympics, Jeb Kosgei, because I think she's gonna be at a bit of an advantage, and this is only her 3rd marathon. She's paced London before, but she's never run it. Remember, she was breaking all those half marathon records a couple of years ago and setting like the en route 20K record and rack like her name just was out there for months and months every time she ran a road race. So I think Jeb Kosgei is going to provide the biggest competition to Kosgei, and if Kosgei is struggling with coming back from the Olympics, I think she's got the most like other than Salpeter who's already run 217 before. But if you ask me, hey, who can jump up from the 218, 219 to the low 217s or heck even 216s, it would be Jeb Kosgei.
Yeah, she does have that. I agree that advantage, right? The She's gonna have the freshest legs, not
Yeah.
just from recent memory, but over as a career, right? She's only run
Mhm.
three. That should be something that will be able to help her out.
So, I just said that the 2019 Valencia marathon had 4 women sub 219. So, Vivian Chariot was 4th in that race, and she ran the 24th fastest marathon in history for a woman. Isn't that crazy to think about?
Fourth in a
It's like
race
she got 4th in the
and
race, but it
top
was the
25.
24th. Yeah, exactly, of all time. It's pretty wild. A little bit of 400-meter hurdles energy there for the women's marathon in
Yeah.
Valencia. Because I was thinking, all right, well, what if you have so say this is assuming a lot, but I don't know. Say Koskei runs 216, and then you get two women in the 217s, which isn't unbelievable given their PR, and then you get like two in the 218s. It's like, oh, where would that stack like all time? It's like, oh my gosh, like that would be again, you'd have 4 or 5 women in the top 25 of all time. I think like Koskei's 214 just like skewed everything in terms of our perception of the event. Because then you're like, all right, that's the greatest mark of all time. So 215, that's really good, but that's still a minute away. But then you're like, wait, only one woman has run 215. And guess how many people have run in the 216s? Zero. Nobody's run in the 216s. Then you got to go all the way to 217, and there's only eight women who have run sub 218 in history. It just so happens that we're familiar with a lot of them because they're happening recently. But that 214 just it kind of really, really skewed how impressive a 217 would be or a 218.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, you're still 3 minutes off the world record.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
like you're not 3 minutes off the world record when you run 202, you know,
correct,
just you're only yeah.
correct.
So
Yeah, but
except if you
even
if you count the 159, but
right, but even if you take the 220 that Gebre Selassie ran in Berlin, right, this past week, it was her debut. I mean, that puts her in the top, top 75 all time. Like that's a legit good mark, especially how fast everything's been over the past couple years. But yeah, you see 220, you're like, okay, that's a mile behind Bridget in Chicago, more than a mile.
if you're a former elite athlete who was like good in the 90s or 2000s or even the 80s, and you had a mark that was top 10 in the world, like all time at the time when you did it, or top
Yeah,
15 or 20, how often are you going to the list to check to see like how far you've moved down over time? Like someone from the 80s, are they
yeah,
like, "Oh, another dude, another gal, like just keeps on I was like 20th when I did this. Now I'm like 120th.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's a good, and you just keep dropping, right? And then there's like one
Yeah.
weekend where like 9 people get in front of you, and you're just like, all right, well, guess I'm not in that spot anymore. I'm looking at the fastest for the women, the fastest time from the 80s, 221.06, Ingrid Christiansen. So she's 136th all time.
She's had a big fall from top
That
tier
was,
to now outside the top 100.
yeah, 1985. That would be interesting to track over time, just like who who's lost the most ground in each event. It would have to be the I mean, look, this is the top of the women's list. 2019 Kosgei. I'll just go by performance. 2003 Radcliffe, obviously. 2017, 19, 20, 02, another Radcliffe, 19, 05, another Radcliffe, 2020, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2019, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2018, 2018, 2020, 2012 with Mary Kitani. That's the top 20. So
So
nothing older than 2002. Nothing older than 2002 in the top 20. To get anything in the 90s, Gordon, you got to go all the way down to, oh man, I'm scrolling a lot here. There's a lot of scrolling going on this podcast right now. Oh my goodness. I actually did not think I'd have to scroll this much when I did. 1999, Tegelorupe 220.43. So she was the world record holder in 1999, and now she's 105th. She was 105th fastest time.
man, times have changed. Times have changed.
All right, why don't you tell
Hey,
us
you can
about
always say you
cross
were
country?
a former world. You can always say you were a former world record holder. You can always say that.
Yeah, but I mean, most of the people who had world records in the late '90s are still some, I don't know, top
Top
10,
10.
top
Yeah.
20. Yeah, like 100, like a 220.43. Again, as you just mentioned, you could see so many people do that. Just this is fall. There could be 30 women who do that. It's
Yeah.
crazy. You want to talk cross country? What's coming up this weekend?
Yeah, let's do it. So this weekend, there are a bunch of meets happening around the country at Paul Short, which should be good. Joe Piani at Notre Dame, that's going to be a good one. The one that is live on FloTrack is the Live in Lou XC Classic, formerly known as the Louisville Classic, formerly known as the Live in Lou Classic because we didn't know it was Live in Lou, not Live in Lou. But it's the Live in Lou because that's their slogan down in Kentucky. Gonna be good. It's basically the home of the Division III national championship, so there will be a virtual pre-nats type atmosphere for the men and women in Division III. But there are also very good D2 schools and D1 schools coming to this meet, as well as high schools as well. D1 wise, Wisconsin men, Michigan women are the two top teams. Kind of there to see the type of cards that they have to see if they are going to be the top dogs in the Big Ten. Wisconsin's kind of an unknown right now. I had them they were my under the radar pick in 2020. I thought they had a legit core of young sophomores and freshmen that could kind of surprise and potentially be a top 5 or 7 team, but they didn't have a good NCAAs in 2020. They're all back, so maybe they can put together this year. But now they're kind of more in the top 20 range, and they need to kind of have another good, regular season Big Ten to kind of get me to fall in love with them again to be another podium contender. But they got Olin Hacker. I think it's the 5th year. They have a bunch of international guys. Jackson Sharp, he's pretty good. Uh, they have like a bunch of dudes that have broken 14 in the fives. Okay, so they should be they should win, and the question is, can they win dominantly to show that they can also get to the next level to go up against the NAUs, the BYUs, the Oklahoma States. The women's side, Michigan women, they're also kind of an unknown. You remember their regular season last year; they didn't get to run a Big Tens. They kind of had to deal with the COVID protocols and all that stuff. So seeing them come back will be interesting. Led by Erica Vanderland, she should she should win, but anything can happen. And then there's gonna be some D2 teams that kind of find a way to get themselves in the conversation. I had who let me bring up a list of some of the teams here. I have the start list. Give me a few seconds bringing it up here. Yeah, so yeah. So like where are they? Oh, I'm bringing the where does the list? They were both Grand Valley State, that's one of the top D2 teams who's going to be there. On the men's side, they have Tanner Chata, who's run 13:47 in the 5K. Isaac Harding, who's the D2 national champion in the 5 and the 3. He's run 13:43. There's also Ezekiel Kipchircher, who was a D2 cross country All American. So there's going to be good talent. So you look at the finishing top 10 in this race individually is going to be an impressive feat. It's not that like it's not a watered down meet. Like there are some top dogs up top. So it'll be interesting to watch. I'm excited. D3, my team, Johns Hopkins, they're going to be there. I'm excited to watch D3 powerhouse on the women's side, go up against, the North Centrals, the Claremont Muds, MITs of this world. So that should be some fun. Anyway, yeah, watch it. Live in Lou XC Classic live on FloTrack. Should be a barn burner. Are you there? You're muted. I think you're muted,
Sorry, I
Kev.
was muted. I'm back. I'm back. Here we go. Yes, I was soaking it all in. I didn't want to even be tempted with interrupting you. That's why I put myself on mute because it's just like you can't talk when it's like an Emmy acceptance speech for like uh, a director who's been around. He's just a legend. Like don't play the music yet. Let them go. They've earned their time. You earned your time here. We only got a few minutes left, or we have a few minutes left, but we've run through pretty much everything we were going to talk about. I guess we could just read your Twitter account at this point and see if you have any good replies. Or unless there's something else you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, do you talk about the tweet that I tweeted at a
Oh
fellow
yeah, the
colleagues
tweet.
of
Yeah,
ours?
yeah, 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 yeah. That actually was a tweet. That's right. There was something that was making me think. Look at Gordon's Twitter account. Yeah, you're. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to get through all your Sixers tweets here.
Should I
Anyway, you
send it
explain
to
it. You set it up. Just explain.
let me first send it to to Colt so people can see it on the screen. So let me send it. Sorry. We don't have Travis, as you guys know. He's the one who's always pulling up our tweets, so we can do it manually today. So our colleagues over at Let's Run, they love to talk about running. That's their job. They love to talk about cross country road racing. But for some reason, they are so beholden or stuck on or the concept of always having to bring up how an American born athlete does in cross country. They love to talk about, American hasn't won cross country since Galen Rupp. It's been this many years. When Morgan McDonald won their leg, it's still a streak that hasn't been broken. And then, Justin Knight wins, and they're like, oh, still streak's not happening. So we thought this was all over with. Now that Connor Mance won, an American won, we can get over with this. An American hasn't won in this many years. But no, they have to now come up with a new drought. Now we have to be like, it's been this many years since an American won back-to-back titles. And so I responded to their tweet. If you can put it up, Colt. If you scroll down, still on that American stat, huh? So that was my reaction because it's so annoying. Nobody in any other sport, in any other profession, cares about American-born droughts. Like, what?
Mhm.
What are we doing here? It makes no sense.
Well,
Like, who cares if the guy's born in Canada or Kenya or America? They're just the fastest person in the NCAA. I
yeah,
don't know.
it's NC. Yeah, the thing that always comes up to me is like the NCAA is not a championship. It's not an organization oriented around different nationalities. It's colleges. So if you want to say it's the first
Yeah.
he broke the BYU drought or they broke the NAU drought, that's relevant because that's the field that is out there year in and year out. But you're right, you don't hear it in any other sport. It's like, wow, this is the first team all NCAA in basketball to be from this country or that country. I mean, I don't understand it. It's persistent. I'm looking forward to next year if Mance wins. Like, when's the last time someone three-peated? So, like, can they complete the three-peat for the first time and wherever? Mance probably won't be there, but
No,
so
what will
he
happen
won't be.
is
Yeah,
Mance will go pro, and then like tragedy, the streak lives on. Mance won't three-peat, so therefore Steve Prefontaine's drought is continues of American
yeah,
three-peating. That's what they'll find a way to manipulate
yeah.
it.
I don't, I don't get it. I think it's a strange way to look at an international sport and again like an international body here in the NCAA because you're right. You're pulling in athletes from all over. In other sports, you don't even know really, right? Like NCAA basketball, you don't even know. Like no one pays that much attention to be like, man, there's like a bunch of guys from Canada on the roster, right? Or there's this person from this country. It's just like, no, that's Oregon's team. That's Villanova's team. and they're going to try to win a national title. Um, so I don't know why it is such a fixation of people. And also it's like running is such an international sport. So is it that surprising that when you pull together a lot of the best 18 to 22-year-olds that somebody other than an American is able to win? Like, that's not breaking news in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I just, the only time you should care about the nationality of an athlete is at the Olympics or World Championships because they're representing their nationality. They're running for
Yeah,
Team USA or Team Kenya.
I'd even say like a major marathon, it matters, right? Because it's like, hey, it's the highest level of the sport. And even though
Yeah,
you're
but
not
yeah, major marathon is the equivalent
yeah,
of
yeah.
World Championships. Yeah, so, but like, yeah, no one was. I'm not like being like, oh, it's the first time an African-born basketball player is goes to the NBA Finals. No, I'm thinking it's the first time Joel Embiid goes to the NBA Finals. I want Joel Embiid to go to the NBA. I don't care about his nationality. I mean, it's more just like, cool, yeah, it's a global sport now. We got people from
Yeah.
Greece. I'm not even gonna say his name. Giannis.
Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah.
Giannis.
Well,
There you go.
I think there is a certain segment of the population who thinks that like NCAA should be American only, which is just bizarre because that's not how it was constructed. And even if you're taking the really narrow-minded approach that the goal of NCAA is to improve American development in the sport, I think we have years and years of results that say, hey, this is raising the game of everybody else. It helps when you're competing against the best in the world, right? Like he's got like when Chris Derrick was in college, he benefited from competing against Cam Levins and you know Lowy Lang, right? Like those were things that helped him, right? Go back to Rupp or whoever the American athlete is, and like look at how good American distance running has gotten over the past 10, 15 years at the highest level. And part of that's because the NCAA competition just keeps getting better and better and better and better. But it's never been. I mean, go back and look through the history of the NCAA. There's always been an international presence in it because the schools are tasked with, hey, put together the best team. They get international students who don't participate in sports at all. Why would they not have international athletes that come to their school and then thrive? So good tweet. Usually your tweets are bad and mostly about Sixer stuff, but still on the American thing, huh? So I'll give you good. I would like that. I would like that tweet.
Appreciate it. A couple people liked it. A couple BYU runners liked it.
Oh,
Former
there you
BYU
go.
runners. Yeah.
There you go. There it is. All right.
Anyway,
Well, that's it. That's it. We'll stop
that's
there.
it.
Tomorrow, let me look at what you have on the rundown for tomorrow. Oh, wow. You have
I know.
maybe interview with big name athlete that I'm not going to say. How's that going, by the way? You got that booked?
I have not got that booked. So we're gonna figure it out. We're
We'll
gonna have
see.
good times.
Thanks to
Hey,
Colt.
this we were able to do a pod every day during a pandemic. We can do 3 pods in September. We can do it. We
I
can
know.
figure it out.
Yeah. Well, we had to do a, what do you call it? We had to do a lot in the beginning of the show about uh, animals. So we want to
Yes.
minimize that probably going forward. I mean, it was good, though. It was good. All
It
right.
was good.
Email this pod, FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com. Watch it live, YouTube, FloTrack Podcast YouTube channel. Thanks, Colt. See you, Gordon.